All right, welcome back to another episode of the Dirt Dudes podcast. We got another Dirt Army fellow soldier joining us today. Break It Jake.
What up?
Obviously Nick. And today we're going to be talking about the new RZR Pro R that just dropped not that long ago. It is kind of the newest. It's the game changer, as they want to call it, in the industry right now.
Exactly. We went over it a little bit, podcast or so ago, but now that it's out and about, we got some more details on it, and just want to go over that kind of stuff with you guys and give you our thoughts on the car, really.
Yeah, really break it down, everything we know now that other people have released video on it and seen this car. I mean, there's quite a few details.
Yeah.
So we're going to go through all of them that we know and maybe talk about, is this what we want? Do we need a Pro R in our life?
I think so.
I think we do. So first off, what are your guys' thoughts, initial thoughts on the Pro R? Jake?
Everything's bigger.
It is.
I think, from what I've noticed, bigger seems like it's going to be better.
Yeah. Bigger's always better, that's for sure.
That's what she said. Yes. I mean, bigger is better. I mean, it has literally got dang near HCR like chassis, control arms, trailing arms, radius rods. It's heavy duty boxed A-arms. I mean,
fully built.
It's fully built. I mean, a lot of things are different about this car, and we're going to go over all of them. I mean, my personal opinion, I do think it's a game changer. I think it's something, it might not be it's still CVT driven, so it's not that game changer, but as far as how these cars are built and what they can do, I think it's going to be another step up.
I do too. I I agree with you there. Just the overall look of the car, everything, the upgrades that I've seen, it just seems like such more of a performance car.
Yeah.
Like I said, a game changer.
It's ready to go.
It's ready to go, man.
It's not halfway there or anything. It's ready to go from the factory.
You could tell Polaris really put some effort in building this car, really changed it up. So, yeah, I say let's jump into this thing and
let's do it.
Break her down.
Break her down, man.
Let's just go over what the car is. So we're gonna talk about the Ultimate Edition because, I mean, come on,
if we're gonna talk about anything,
go big or go home, man.
Exactly.
That's right.
All right, so RZR Pro R Ultimate MSRP on the Polaris website $37.99. Not cheap. It's not cheap.
Not cheap.
It has Dynamics, dual valve, Fox, X2 live valve 3-inch shocks, ride command technology, Rockford Fosgate premium audio, ProStar Fury 2.0 liter engine, 74-inch stance right there. Big difference.
Yep.
Turbo S 72. It's the widest car now on the market. Something different. And Polaris's famous number, 29 inches of usable travel.
Yeah.
It's so when they say usable travel, they're including like tire squish and everything. That is you hitting the skid plate. So it's a lot. It's a lot.
That is a lot.
It's 225 horsepower NA engine, non-turbo. It is naturally aspirated. So you're talking about constantly having power. No like building boost or anything.
Instant power.
Instant power. 16 inches of ground clearance.
Dang.
That it's insane, man. I mean, I guess that's not that insane because that is what my car says.
I was going to say, what's the Turbo S? 16?
It is sitting there.
Yeah, I guess.
But I do not have 29 inches of usable travel.
Right.
I'm not.
Right.
I should know that stat, but it's not as big. The Pro R, it has a little bit more.
Yep.
So, but now we're going to dig. So that is the base of this car. Now we're going to dig deep into all the details. And I say, Nick, you lead the way because you took all the notes down.
Yeah, man.
We're going deep.
You can put the notes in front of you. We don't need to read them for you, dude.
I thought I'd leave them here for everybody. In case somebody wanted to.
No, you're the leader, dude.
Right,
you're leading the way.
Well, I guess first thing we should just talk about is that engine and the transmission and the front diff. So it is a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine. That's Polaris has never had anything like that before on any of their side by sides. So pushing 225 horsepower out of an NA, that's huge. That's
right now.
Like I love NA engines. I love the RS1. I love that throttle response. I'm super excited to see the Pro R no lag, crazy power. The other cool thing about them is the transmission separate. from it, right?
The rear diff.
The rear diff is separated from the transmission.
Right.
So it's no longer integrated.
Yep. So that's a pretty cool little
yeah.
I mean, that really surprised me. I was like, oh wow.
Yeah, I mean, for changing parts or whatever it may be, it is beneficial. Also, the front diff is completely different. They've been running the RS1 diff for a long time. That was what integrated into the Turbo S.
Yep.
It is a big front diff. Yeah. But like this Pro R is going to be heavy. So they have to compensate for all that. I mean, these axles, huge. I mean, the drive shaft, what is it, 3 inches in diameter?
Yeah, drive shaft 3 inches in diameter.
That's huge. That's a freaking truck. Yep. That's a truck drive shaft. That's insane, man.
But even the front diff, I mean, like, going back to that, have full locking system on it.
Yep.
Limited, and then obviously, you can put the car in 2-wheel drive.
Mm-hmm.
So they're saying with that full lock, I mean, you can just go balls to the walls in it.
They said 90 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Because this is a 90-mile-an-hour car out of the box.
Which is wild. As it is right there,
Mm-hmm. 0 to 90 real fast.
So, I mean,
3 seconds.
Yeah. It'll get there.
But yeah, so I mean, the engine, the transmission, the diffs, everything's real changed up on this car. So that's a pretty cool thing to look for it when taking it for a drive. Just gonna feel the difference in this thing.
This 2-liter engine is like it was made for the Slingshot because Polaris did use a GM engine originally, then made their own Pro Star, and it is for the Slingshot. But this motor is not what is exactly in a Slingshot. This thing is built for off-road. There are adjustments to this motor to be able to put in a RZR. Like there's things that on the bottom of the engine to literally, if you're at an angle, like you don't just have all your oil seep into the back. Like you don't lose power or anything like that. There are tons of things they took into consideration to make this car suitable for the off-road thing. It's 16 valves, 25 horsepower. That's pretty insane. And I know when I jump in your RS1, you're 120 with our AA tuning and everything, maybe 125. The NA response to my turbos is so different and weird because all I've drove is turbos since I've owned a RZR. I've only had turbos. So when I jump into an NA car, is a different life. It's weird.
Yep. No, it totally is, man. I mean, going from my turbo to RS1, I have to kind of like remember how to drive each one. It takes a little bit, I'm sure. So yeah, I mean, this 225 horsepower NA.
Instant power,
man. I'm super stoked to see how it just runs.
Yep.
But I mean, and then so that's the transmission, the diffs, all that good jazz.
The all new horsepower.
Horsepower.
Put one last thing on the horsepower. Put this in consideration. This car has more horsepower than all of ours.
Yeah.
We don't own a car that has this much horsepower, even with our tuning and everything on these turbo engines.
Right.
I mean, Jake does have a new Polaris Pro XP.
Pro XP, baby.
That video hasn't even dropped, so he's like us getting to say it in front of everybody right now. He's like, "Oh, we're allowed to talk about it." Yeah.
It's been on the down low for a little while, but
his is 181 stock with the Pro XP platform, and it will with our AA tuning, it will get it up there. But depending
at 200,
you'll definitely be at 200. You'll be more than 200, but I mean, some of the things we have up our sleeves, you'll be pushing more than 225 horsepower power, or at least.
Can't wait.
So if we hypothetically had one of these, we could be comparing a turbo Polaris with similar horsepower to an NA with similar horsepower. A lot of interesting things you could be doing with this thing, but that's what I mean. The power platform, that is what I think about it, and obviously this is going to open up the door for turbochargers, superchargers.
Who's going to be the first to put a turbo on it, dude?
Roush Racing.
Oh,
no,
man.
I have no idea.
Right.
It'll be endless with that.
That's funny.
600 horsepower RZR.
Yeah, it's going to be bananas, man.
Yeah, for real, it will be.
But to go with all that power, you got to have
traction.
Yeah, traction is something you got to have. But I was going to say it's got to be built. It's got to be tough, man.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll jump into the more of the car because the car is already built crazy tough, in my opinion. Like wait till we go over the stuff. But 37,000, you're like, man, that's a huge number. But it's like when you just go buy like a Turbo S or XP 1000 or XP Turbo, whatever, and the money that you dump into it to make it super strong, and you're not
You're not far.
You're not. 35,000 is not a ridiculous number. 40,000.
I'm never gonna financially recover from this.
That's what will happen.
Yes, exactly. And this Pro R, like, man, when I'm looking at it, like, there's not much I would want to change out right away. Like, like we'll go into this stuff. Like, wait till you hear it. It's built pretty. I can see why it's 37.
I can see it because it's built ready. I mean, if we had one of these, I think what would be really cool to do is just like leave it stock and go and take this thing around to different places and see what a car for dang near $40,000 can do. How long will it last? How durable is it?
Yeah, 100%, man. So like getting back into this car here, I mean, it comes stock with full doors, roof, all that good jazz.
They were talking about the Ultimate Edition. I'm not exactly sure on the other ones. They probably might not have a roof or something like that.
Yeah. This is the Ultimate Edition. But even the cage design, totally different. Cage design's totally swapped up. One piece cage. It's a lot thicker. I mean,
the curves are different too.
Yeah,
it's even more round. You know, they got away from the traditional.
It kind of looks like a really cool, like the Turbo S cage never looked that bad to me. The downside was that it was like as tall as the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
It just like Shaq could fit in there pretty comfortable.
And this one does, like Jake said, it's got a nice radius to it, you know? And I want, I got to get close to this. Sorry, guys.
Fist away, dude.
But yeah, it's a lot thicker of a cage. It's, you know, almost makes me wonder, is it like race ready? Like everybody knows the cage you get from your stock players.
You want to get
it's not really rated. You know, you want to get an aftermarket cage on it.
You drive around with a stock cage, people start just crucifying you. I can't believe you drove over 45 with that thing, man. What are you doing?
Exactly. This thing comes ready. You don't really need to change it unless you want the different look at that point. I think it's ready.
Right.
You know what it looks like to me?
More reinforcements.
Is the aftermarket cages they put on a Pro XP. It looks like
it's close.
Yep, I can see that.
Like a Brick City one or something like that. It looks very familiar to me, like Corey Malone. Like
I was just gonna say,
it looks like that cage to me. It's just like a little bit more rounded.
Yep. Yeah, so I mean, given like the full doors, the cage setup, all that stuff, in my opinion, it looks pretty sweet. Like I don't know if I'd want to change it. Like
I don't think you need to. Obviously, once it hits the market, you'll see what everybody does, and so people will be. You'll start wanting to change things, but. I think out of the box, man, I always preach how the Turbo S out of the box is probably the best car you can buy. Durability-wise, I mean, technology-wise, everything. The Pro XP was sweet, but in my opinion, not as tough as a Turbo S.
Right.
Sorry, Jake, but I
can agree.
I mean, like when we're looking at your car, how we're looking at the radius rod setup, beefy, weak.
Yeah, they went half.
They were half and half.
Yeah.
Control arms and radius rods, whatever. You want to talk about braking points? Well, why does mine look beefy on the top and bottom? Why is the Pro R beefy on the top and bottom?
Yeah.
They could have done it. I don't know what's going on, why they chose to do these things, but it is what it is. The car is still pretty tough. It's better than what you'd get out of like a 1000 XP back in the day, like your old car.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you look at the radius rods on that. Oh, it's like a stick you just break over your knee, man. Totally.
Not even an inch around.
Yeah, I mean, like this Pro R now uses M14 bolt hardware for everything. My Turbo S is M12, so. They keep just jumping it up. They're compensating for everything. It's like to make this vehicle work.
Yeah. No,
it's going to be durable.
Oh, big time, man. I mean, the radius rods on it are huge on this Pro R.
Yeah.
They're already high clearance. They're sweet. The other cool thing about it is the trailing arms.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the trailing arm's a lot longer, and that's where you probably get that 29-inch
usable travel.
A longer trailing arm. And the other sweet thing is that trailing arm has got that torsion bar that goes right through it.
Yep.
Goes right to the toe link, you know, so you can adjust it. You can adjust the toe in, toe out on the car, which on stock models, you know, everybody, you can't do that.
No,
it's all
like
fixed.
I'm not sure on the X3. They might have adjustable radius rods.
Oh, I guess I was talking about for Polaris.
Yeah, for Polaris, this is a first for them. Yeah, but like an X3, they have the 3 radius rod link set up so where you could adjust it.
Yep. So I mean that's pretty sweet, and I'm curious on how well that will do. Like I'm sure. I mean, by looking at the car,
design's really unique too.
It's super unique.
Yeah.
Isn't it completely new? Like there's never been anything like that before.
I've never seen anything like that.
You know, and that's where I'm wondering. Like, you can put a car through as much like beating and R&D as you want, But when you give it to the public and then they really show you,
you'll know,
you know what
flaws.
I mean? You'll know the flaws. So I'm curious on how well, having that torsion bar going through, if you, let's say, like, just in a scenario, you're hauling ass through the desert, you hit a rock and you bend that torsion bar.
Yeah, then what?
Does it throw your toe off?
I'm sure it's no different than if you bent one on the Can-Am.
Right, exactly.
But I will say it is placed differently. Like how often do you ever bend a trailing arm?
Never. Exactly.
Like, so it's pretty far and few between.
So I guess if you were to bend that torsion bar, you're gonna be.
You're already in deep trouble.
Could a stick or log get caught up in there? The way that it's designed.
It does come stock with a mud flap.
Okay.
Like how I have my rock block trailing arm guards. It already has one on there. Which,
nice.
Thanks, man. Because like those trailing arm guards or trailing arms paint go just in a second, man.
No, they're gone.
It's like
I already lost all mine.
Yeah, it's easy to do. I don't know what kind of powder coating they're using on there.
Yep.
Spray paint.
Yeah.
The name of the spray paint is powder coating.
But yeah, the trailing arms, all that stuff in the back, everything's beefed right up on it.
It is adjustable. I know, like, when we were looking at it and everything, and we knew we found out it was a toe link and everything, we didn't think it was adjustable because it didn't look like it had high ends on it. There's some kind of different setup for it to be adjustable. I'm not 100% sure on it. Maybe if we get one, we could go over it more in depth. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, and then what else is it? They have a let's see here. Let's check in the notes.
Yeah, what we got?
They're longer for more travel.
Yeah, we got that. I mean, I guess so. That's just about like everything for the rear end there. The radius rods, big time upgraded. The trailing arms are big time upgraded. The other thing I guess I should have said about when we were talking about the engine too, I just seen here, the oil filter. Just quick to jump on that. A lot more accessible.
It's
right there in the back.
Yeah.
You can do all the maintenance like that. It is a pretty tight fit for that engine in that frame, but it still looks like they were able to let you be able to work on it, service it somewhat easy.
It's still
take maintenance.
It's still the same as like the Pro XP platform. Like when we looked at your car, how we can remove the bed. It's like you can work on it, I think, relatively simply still. And with the oil changes, where the location of the oil filter is now, no more pouring it down the entire front of your engine and being mad because it happens every time, no matter what. It sucks. The oil filter location on like my car, Jake's car, Nick's car, horrible spot. It sucks.
Oh, yeah. You got to stuff towels down there, paper towels, and then still you just get crazy amount of oil just sitting right on top.
And you smell it burning off, and you think something's leaking, and so the Pro R, they got it figured out for that aspect.
That is pretty nice.
And one thing I want to say also is like how we keep talking about this car being like, I think you could drive it out of the box and not have to do anything. I mean, you could do that with a Turbo S still. There was just things like, I don't know. It's the horsepower war is what it is. I'm sure when you get into the 225, eventually you want more, but I don't know, man. Like my car, I do want more, but it's nothing insane to where I need it because it's not practical for what we do.
For like power upgrades and stuff like that, like of course you're going to want to put more power to the car once you get everything. I guess what I'm thinking is like chassis build. Yeah. Like your chassis, your A-arms, your radius rods.
I don't know. I've never changed any of that on two Turbo S's, and it seems to hold up pretty well. So this thing shouldn't have never break.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Like, so you go, like, you look at those, the radius rods, 3 inches are humongous. It's like, I don't need to upgrade that.
No.
That's huge.
My whole point of like bringing that back up to the Turbo S's is like how probably if you were to figure out how much money I put into it, what all the parts and everything cost, it's like my car's $35,000 probably.
Right.
And it's like that is what you're dang near paying for this thing, and it's more horsepower, more travel, more everything. There's a lot of things that are way more badass about it. So
Polaris's replacement for the Turbo S.
I mean, they have the Turbo R that is replacing the Turbo S, which keep this in mind, everybody. Like the Pro R and Turbo R have similarities. The biggest difference is that it has the 2-liter engine compared to the 181 horsepower or 181 Pro Star engine like Jake has.
Yeah, same thing.
Same thing. That one's the 925. This is a 1997 cc. So,
right,
like it's that is what the difference between the Turbo R and the Pro R. Actually, a lot of the chassis components, control arms, trailing arms, all that stuff are very similar. It just has a little bit of suspension, little less suspension travel because the car is shorter. It doesn't have as long as trailing arms. We're not really going to go over the Turbo R in this because the big dog is the Pro R. Oh, yeah. And you really know what the Turbo R is when we're explaining this. So the only difference is the power platform.
Yep.
And like maybe like the drive shaft, stuff like that, because it doesn't need a 3-inch diameter drive shaft to power this car. But my whole thing is you're going to probably, if you take a Turbo S and try to build it to what this car is, you'll probably be spending more than 35 grand because this thing has so much newer technology compared to what the Turbo S had, or even a new Pro XP, because a Pro XP, again, 64-inch, once you spend the money to go 72-inch to 74-inch, talking about a $10,000 upgrade with HCR, Turbo S hubs, axles, the whole shebang. It is really expensive, so the price point is really not that outrageous for what you're getting.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. The price point is not that outrageous because, man, you look at the A-arms. Like, we'll just jump into the A-arms on the Pro R. It's a totally different setup. The shock, connecting to the bottom A-arm. The A-arms themselves, the way they're built, I mean, they look almost like HCR.
Yeah.
I mean, they are thicker than a Snicker, dude.
They're not even round.
They're humongous. The welds on them, I mean, just everything about it looks super high quality.
Should never have to be replaced.
Yeah. They should never have to be replaced. I mean, they're stamped steel A-arms, and when I'm like looking at these videos of people looking at them and everything, it's like they're saying how it's comparable to an HCR kit, like weight-wise and everything. I mean, they're saying you're getting something really awesome out of the box. Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. And to go with these control arms and everything, it's like they got unitized bearings and hubs. So what that means is no more pressing your wheel bearings into your hubs anymore. It's literally like a car now. So you'll be buying the whole assembly. Is it going to be more expensive? Probably. Is it going to last longer? I think so. Also, it's way easier to change. Say you blow out a wheel bearing like in a race or whatever it may be. Unless you got like a second hub prepped or however it may be. I don't know how the race.
Fast.
You could be really fast on just swapping that bad boy out.
Yeah,
4 to 6 bolts technically.
5 bolts. I was thinking lugs.
Holding that on to get to that, you could get to it really fast if it's just that.
But a 5 lug system, that's the new thing on the tire. You know, they strengthen that up. 5 lugs.
Something people have been asking for a long time. Right now it's a 4 lug system. Now it's a 5 lug system, which is super. This lug pattern, I believe, is super common in the car industry.
Right. Yeah, I guess it seems like they designed this more like a car tire. You know, comparable, maybe
a lot of weight and horsepower.
It's like it's like a freaking trophy truck or whatever you want to call it.
I mean, even the brakes are upgraded.
Yep.
You know, they still got a steel rotor on it, but I think it's an aluminum based like
hub or whatever it is,
or caliper.
No, I don't know. We're talking over. I remember hearing about this. I can't remember, but it is the brake system is upgraded. Yeah. So to for all the extra weight is on this and stuff.
Oh, I'm sure.
I remember watching a video with Andrew Carlson, who we rode with at the Red Bull thing, with Side by Side blog at Twisted Trails, and he did a video. He has a Pro R, and he was comparing it to his Pro 4 truck. Is that what he?
Okay, yeah.
And a lot of these parts, pretty much like the hub assembly, the wheel bearings and stuff, like interchangeable almost.
Really?
Like it's very similar to those stuff. So, I mean, you're getting a little rally truck.
Right. Exactly. That's sweet, man.
It's a dream, man. It's like playing those video games as a kid, now it's a reality.
Yeah. It's unreal.
Here's the key, here's a trophy truck.
I feel like we should talk about the suspension now, because that is something that is changing. It's like when I first got my Turbo S, it was the first live valve edition of these cars.
Yeah.
My 2018 Turbo S. it was a game changer, man. I had the Fox Edition turbo before that, the 17. It's a 24-click system. Man, it's like, that's cool because you can adjust it a lot, but like the reality is the train that we're driving on constantly is changing. Right. So to have it on the fly, once you have it, you'll never not have it. That's pretty much how that goes. It's an amazing thing. They did upgrade it once they went to the Pro XP. It did have, like, they changed some things about the live valve, some of the settings. And now, with this Pro R, it is a dual valve system. So instead of just doing compression, now it does rebound. So,
well, I believe it's a dual valve, so there's two separate compartments. One controls compression. Yeah. One controls rebound.
Before it only did compression.
I thought it controlled compression and rebound.
I'm saying like on mine and the hit or like a Ultimate Edition of a Pro XP only did compression. It was it never did rebound or anything.
Oh, gotcha.
Can-Am supposedly was the first one to do compression and rebound, but for some reason Polaris is claiming that they have the first dual valve electronic suspension system with measuring these two things separately. I don't know what they're doing differently or what makes them first before Can-Am. I don't know. It's the same thing probably with usable travel. They like to put a little twist on things, so who knows what the real difference is. You would have to talk to somebody that knows more. Shock therapy.
That's where you got to break that reel down.
You got to have a car.
The other nice thing too is it's dual rate.
Yeah,
dual rate
spring.
True
dual rate.
Dual rate spring now. So that's a pretty cool. I mean, I got dual rates on my turbo, and it's a huge difference.
That's the first thing that I want to do to mine is go straight to dual rate springs.
It's nice.
It's nice to already have that.
I mean, I will say I can see where it's like a 50-50 on where some people are like because a lot of people don't like dual rate. They just like to keep it just how it is, and have that tension spring on it. And I can see that too, because I mean the RS1 set up without dual rate, and the turbo is, and man, sometimes I like it's depending on what application I'm doing.
Almost feels like it has more roll to it. Like when I'm watching video of the car and when I drove your car, I'm like, it feels like there's a lot more suspension here, but it feels a little bit sway. But also, Nick bought that car used. We're not exactly sure what that guy had that spring setup set for.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think he had it more set up for dunes, which I will say, when I'm in the dunes, car is
primo.
Awesome. So, but like in the RS1, man, I just feel more sturdy in that car. Like I can take corners faster and stuff like that. But the Pro R having a dual rate spring setup, and it's in a 3-inch setup. I'm not 100% sure on what they mean.
It's a 3-inch fax live valve setup. So
I think they're talking about the reservoir being
talking
3
about the
inches.
reservoir.
I don't know, but I would think that.
I believe
that's got to be an upgrade, so you get more fluid, more stuff going on in there to help with
the other thing that I love about the new shot or the new Pro R shocks is they added some kind of sleeve in there. So like if you where the tubes like the sliders like ride up and down, everybody knows if you got a Polaris shock and you jump it or anything, you look at your shock threads and they're like worn down where you could see it's like the shock's almost like that slider's just pinning on it. You know what I mean?
Dirt and stuff gets built up on there and it just shreds the threads.
That's one of my biggest pet peeves about the suspension on it. And there's nothing you can do about it. It don't matter how you turn that shock. It drives me bonkers, man, how it just rubs that down. But the Pro R, they added a metal sleeve to avoid that. So now it slides up and down on that, and it actually keeps the shock tube from not getting worn on or taking damage like that.
That's the little things, Yeah, they really went in depth with this machine.
Yeah. Like when we started this before the podcast, listing off everything that needs to be done, there was way more than I thought.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, hey, it won't take that long.
It's completely different. They just went above and beyond, it seems like. It's ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with the suspension thing, we need to also talk about something that we skipped over when it comes to like the powertrain and everything. We didn't talk about how they have different actual throttle responses with this car.
Oh yeah.
There's different settings for your it's basically like a pedal commander basically. So they have it's Baja, Race, and
Sport.
Rock.
I think it's like Baja, Trail,
race,
race, and then rock mode.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you can change your actual throttle response. So say you're rock climbing, you don't want that crazy response to be jerking it and everything. I'm sure it detunes your throttle, have easier time at like climbing. I'm not rock climbing expert, so don't listen to me. Right. But I know if you go in between, I think like Baja mode and maybe track.
It totally makes sense.
That sounds like the same thing to me though, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
I know that like track mode
maybe
I think
go
is
drive one.
Yeah. Maybe
we'll just have it on fast mode all the time.
I think track mode is the most like balls to the walls. There is no restrictions. I'm not sure what the Baja thing is exactly. I should know. Your mind slips once you get sitting behind here.
Yep.
But how that incorporates with the suspension is the suspension now has 4 different modes. For some reason, I thought the throttle response had 4 different modes, but it's actually the suspension. So the suspension has Baja mode, rock mode, track mode, and comfort mode. Baja mode. Coming up on gnarly whoops run. That's a weird sentence, I think. Use Baja mode to get a trophy truck feel with high dynamic ride height, increased shock isolation, and a nose-high pitch to help you float from crest to crest. It's the perfect setup for when you want to hit it hard on the toughest terrain. So I know, like, when I was listening to some of these people break down this car and what the different things with the live valve is I know with my car, say I'm at a dead stop and I stomp on it, it will stiffen the rear suspension.
Independent.
And so you don't get that giant sag.
Yep.
But now there's like making it to where even when you're rolling with the car and say you throttle it down again, it will do it even then. So there is all these
eliminates that pickup on the car.
Yep, exactly. Same with the pitch. Like when you're coming into brakes or into corners or whatever, and you're nailing on the brakes, stiffens up the front. And also, what's crazy is when you're turning now. With my car, it will like soften up to the inside of whatever you're turning.
Yeah.
This one will actually be lowering the inside of your turning suspension. So say you're turning left side of the suspension is actually going to try lowering the car down.
To keep you more flat?
While pitching up your right side and stiffening it up.
Crazy.
Oh, that's pretty sweet.
It's mind-blowing what these things are doing right now.
That is pretty wild. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's bananas. So
bananas.
Let's go to the rock mode of the suspension. When it's time to crawl, rock mode gives you the clearance and control to tackle the steep and deep. Highest compression dampening maxes the ride height, while low speed angle dampening improves pitch and roll stability, making sure Razor Pro R is always leaning into whatever you're trying to get up and over. So I think that's exactly what I was talking about, how it's changing your suspension. Wow. And I'll put up some pictures right now of what they have on the Polaris website where it's seeing this, because I'm looking at it right now. It's like the front right tire is at a different compression than your back left, and then your front left and front right are 2 different ones because your car is at a 15-degree angle uphill, but also a 16-degree angle going to your left or whatever. I mean, this is crazy. This thing looks bananas. What the suspension is going to be doing.
The future is here.
Yeah. Baja mode. Oh no, I already did that. My bad. Yeah. Track mode. Power steering set for increased steering input, providing with an immediate connection to the terrain, while the low flat stance is perfectly set up for twisty trails and desert hardpack. So basically, like, you might not have to be doing a bunch of suspension ride height stuff all the time. Like, the suspension's going to be doing it for you. You put on track mode, it's going to lower down your car a little bit. Now I kind of get the difference between track mode and Baja.
Oh, yeah.
Because your track mode is going to be a lower set car to keep you more flat, while your Baja is giving you the ride height for, like, these gnarly trails with rocks and whatever it may be.
It's awesome.
And then the last one, comfort. I would say this is probably for just when you're just toting back to camp or whatever it may be, your little slow ride. If you're touring with a family or sightseeing with friends, then you want the Ultra Plush Ride of Comfort mode. It lowers the compression and rebound dampening to maximize passenger comfort and turns up the power assist for effortless steering when you're out for a cruise. This
softens everything up.
Yeah, it's just going to be probably like zeros, and when you look at it or whatever, however they measure it on the new ones. But it's This is just insane, man. I mean, you're incorporating so many different dynamics with your electronic live valve suspension between turning, your whatever angle your car's on, to also how your power steering feels. Like, these are so many different factors that you're contributing into just like, this car is leading the technology factor in every side-by-side. Polaris has already been doing that. Can-Am's trying to catch up. They got great power platform and like the car for racing and everything, top of the line. But if we're talking about practicality and what you want for an everyday user, Polaris is leading the industry right now. Your car is built in with GPS, live valve suspension. I mean, and just ready to go. Like, even if you're a casual rider, you could go out there and try being a Baja racer.
Yeah, totally.
Trophy truck in a box.
Yeah. Literally. That is what it is.
They're fun machines.
I mean, that covers a lot of these, like, toughness, power platform, suspension. Is there anything we're missing on there?
For the power platform, all that kind of stuff?
And suspension, durability, anything.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that pretty much covers it, man, on that kind of stuff. The one thing I will say is the clutch setup.
I was going to say, they got all this power. How is the clutch going to hold up?
Yeah, I mean, the clutch is the same style of clutch that you and Jake have in your guys' car, but just much bigger.
Much bigger.
Much bigger. The clutch placement is totally different on the Pro R, too. It sits right behind the driver. And
it's like an old Razor 800 setup.
Yeah.
Right. So
is that going to be hard to like get to? You got to take a bunch of panels off?
You just got to pull that seat out. You pull that panel off. And then there's the clutch cover. It's going to be quick release, I guess, on the bottom half of the clutch cover, bolt on the top half. And then the other cool thing about it is it's almost like a Ram Air setup.
Yeah.
There's a hood scoop in the front of the car that ducks all the way to the clutch. So while you're driving,
keeps it cool,
pushing air right to that clutch. So that's a pretty cool setup right there.
One thing I want to know is if you're following somebody, is all that just dirty air just like going right into your clutches?
I can't see why it wouldn't.
Yeah, I don't know how. Like, maybe they got a frog skin on it, but no matter what, it's going to be
what would be
pushing.
Cool is if like they built some kind of separator.
S&B particle separator.
Like halfway through, and just spit the dirt out the side.
That would be pretty sick. S&B, free idea
for you. I wonder how much
dirt
dirt actually gets through the frog skins on like our normal.
A lot.
Yeah, a lot. I'm sure that's sucking pretty decent amount of air.
Check your air filter after a dusty ride. It's destroyed.
Destroyed, dude.
So what, like the intake coming from the front all the way to the CVT, it's actually driven right behind the primary, which apparently creates the most cool air to pass through whatever the CVTs to cool it down. And then there's another air ducting system coming out behind the secondary, I believe, and it's almost like your traditional setup that you would be seeing on a Pro XP or Turbo S.
Something like that. Yep.
But I mean, in my eyes, it's almost like a giant wind tunnel coming from the rear all the way to the behind the primary, and no, it's not supposed to be going out the other side because it's coming in, but that's what I imagine in my eyes.
Yep. I mean, I'm just curious on how the whole setup is. I mean, that's on the old Razor 800. That's how what you said. That
it was behind the seat. Wow. But obviously back then they did not make it easy to get to. I remember trying to change my brother Brooks Razor 800 belt, and I'm like, this is stupid, dude. This is way too hard. I get it's an 800. You probably blow one belt in its lifetime.
Right.
But like, this is so silly. I mean, supposedly it's supposed to be easier. I've never messed with the Pro XP yet, so I'm not 100% sure how easy it is to take off that back panel and get to it and everything. And it is sweet they did quick release on the bottom, but like, why didn't you do the top? Yeah. Because on all the pre-production cars, they were all the way around, and then for some reason for the production cars, now the tops are bolts. It doesn't make sense to me.
Come on, Polaris. Why? What are you doing?
Why, dude? Why would you do that, man? It doesn't.
I'm not going to want to go snap. Hit me that 8mm.
I know.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Halfway there already. Just finished.
I lost the 8.
Maybe it wasn't sealing good. Who knows? Yeah. But I'm pissed. But to like talk about like also to go with like the interior and this back panel and everything, this car is the same interior as a Pro XP.
They're nice.
And they're nice.
I'm loving it.
Yeah, like when I rode in Jake's, that was like my big take from it was, man, I really like the interior. I like
comfortable.
I like the seating placement. The seats aren't bad for not being suspension compared to mine.
The harnesses
or retractable. I dig the car. I like the inside. I like the ergonomics or whatever. It's very good. I like how the audio system is integrated. This has the exact same audio system as Jake's, the Rockford Fosgate Stage 2 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Just the 2 lower speakers right in front of you with tweeters.
And they're good enough.
Yeah.
You can hear it going 50 miles an hour. You just turn it up a little bit. You can hear
no windshield either for Jake.
Yeah.
And that's the other cool thing too, is the car's got an alternator on it.
Yeah.
Pro R.
Oh,
yes.
So I mean, and the Ultimates have dual battery. So if you want to like upgrade your stereo system, really get some kicks, or the lighting, anything like that. I mean,
you'll never have electrical.
You'll never have an electrical problem ever.
It's impressive, man.
It's awesome, and with these new cars, the integration of how they do these Polaris or lights or hookups and everything, it is just like the RS1 and Pro XP. Super simple plug and play setups compared to your old bus bar setups like on my Turbo S.
No mess.
No mess. Very clean. I like what they're doing.
Yep.
I like what they're doing.
Finally, after all the trial and error, things are starting to line up and make sense.
But it will just get better and better.
How can it get better?
Well, 5 years from now, we'll look back at the Pro R and it will look like the Turbo S. We'll be like, man, look at how small and chintzy it is. Pretty soon, they're going to somehow coax us into paying $80,000 for a car.
Yeah, we're just going to have a trophy outside.
Yeah, but no kidding, dude. By the time we hit 40, I won't be surprised if we're hitting 50, 60 grand.
Yeah, probably.
This is silly.
Oh, that's funny. The other thing too on that car is the exhaust setup on it.
Kind of like a Can-Am.
Yeah, kind of like Can-Am, straight out the back. I mean,
butthole right in the middle.
Yeah, it's a ball. I'm gonna say that I don't really like. That's the one thing I don't like about the car.
Yeah,
I'm not a super big fan of the exhaust setup. Just that hole right in the back of the car. I like having that aftermarket exhaust on it.
Yeah.
I like the AA exhaust, boom, gnarly burly right there in the back.
I wonder if it takes a lot of like packing or anything to get the tone. Seems like it'd sound like a like a racer, like
it does.
more high pitch.
It does.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's not very deep.
I think that's what like
like a Cobalt. You hear
it's like a high revving engine.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's the whole reason they set it coming out the back, just because of the pipe design being the 4-cylinder and stuff like that. Maybe just an easier design, easier route to take, or more efficient or whatever. But just my personal opinion. I love the car. I love everything about it. But that's the one thing where I'm like,
have you seen the aftermarket ones that have been coming out? Like,
no,
are there already aftermarket exhausts?
Well, there's people that did the Baja race, and
okay.
people that are doing the other races with the Pro R, and they have an aftermarket exhaust on it, and maybe not crazy. Some of them just look like open pipe,
right?
Wow.
But it sounds
straight headers.
It sounds so sick.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like, for instance, like when it comes to cars, I like the V8 sound more than a Racer. Oh. I would rather have I probably will still prefer the sound of my Turbo S over Pro R.
Right.
Who knows? But I know that it sounds very much like a tuner, and when you hear these aftermarket ones, it sounds pretty sick, especially when you're seeing these clips of people just coming through the whoops and
yeah. Wow.
It's different. It's different.
Big things are coming.
All right. I think we covered everything on this car.
Just about, man. I mean, there's a couple little other things, just if you guys want to cover on it. The power steering is a little different on it.
I mean, yeah, we're talking about that with how it integrates with the suspension and the power.
Well, where they put the power steering motor.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that is something.
Yep, so they actually changed the power steering motor placement on it. It's on the rack and pinion instead of up underneath like the dash. Or right
on the column.
Yeah, so that takes... So hitting bumps, everything like that, I think, and all that force in that steering wheel puts a lot of pressure on the steering motor.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if this is true or not, but I do know in the Polaris is when you like hit a big jump, a lot of times power steering just goes out.
I've had it happen to me multiple. Durham Town. This video has already been released. My power steering still is not the same. I have to probably get a different EPS motor because it is not working correctly because I came down so hard on that jump at Durham Town. It has a mind of its own now.
Yeah.
It's just like I would literally be ripping the track, and I would be like, "Oh, sweet," and in a corner just go out.
Oh,
I'm like, "Oh God."
Yeah, so I guess that is a big thing to cover. Yeah, the steering power motor, on the Pro R, it's at the bottom because what I think is, like you said, when you hit a big jump, that must have put a lot of pressure on the steering motor. Makes it go out.
It's a little thing.
Cuts right out. Yeah, all those little things, man.
It's the suspension, how it got rid of all the whatever dirt with the sliders, ruining the threads. Yep. EPS motor placement, changing that up. I mean, there's a lot of things. I think also another thing they did is like the tie rods are now replaceable. I think there was something going on with how they're integrated. Actually, the rack and pinion needs to be replaced if you bend it so far up. I don't know. Might be talking out my b-hole right there. But I think that's what it is.
Right. Other than that, man, yeah, that's pretty much everything on it. Full skid plate underneath the car.
That's a bonus. I mean, with ours, it does have a skid plate. It's just not a full skid plate.
Yep. No, full skid plate. And, the other not weird, but thing is a dual cable shift.
Yeah.
So in the shifter, it's dual cabled. Maybe just for smoother shifting.
It is for smoother shifting because if you think about it and you feel it in yours, mine, when you pull all the way back down to high, the way the angle is on the cable, it creates more tension. So it actually feels harder. When you get from low to high, you feel how it's a little bit resistant. Yeah. It will not do it with this dual cable system.
Oh, it's just smooth all the way. You can't tell a difference anywhere.
From park to reverse will feel the same as low to high.
Gotcha.
Quality.
Little things. Little things, man.
It's a fully built car, man.
It is.
I'd be surprised if anyone buys one and just feels like they need to change things out. Like, you don't need any aftermarket.
Oh, you know it. You know they will.
I mean, they will, but it comes ready.
It does. Yeah. You see it with these racers right now. Like the one team did the Baja 1000 with the Pro R, and there was shock issues. They did break the shock mounts. With the new shock setup with the control arms, it goes straight to the lower control arm, which is a totally different dynamic.
Yep.
It is sweet. It's going to create more travel. Everything about it should be better. But the little fork separator going over the axle was breaking, I believe.
Oh, wow.
I think they went through 4 shocks.
Oh, really?
But keep in mind, this is the hardest race in the country or the world, possibly.
Yeah.
It was stock.
Yeah, they ran a stock vehicle.
Was it Mitch Guthrie Jr.? Is that the team? Because I know he ran it.
It might have been him. I'm not sure.
And I'll tell you what, dude. They had that car looking awesome.
Sponsor is Polaris. I'll find out who Mitch Guthrie Jr. is and keep tabs on him.
Yeah. I want to go fast.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I was looking at Mitch's setup on that Pro R, and it just, looks so awesome.
It's super sick. I think Brandon Sims also
I've seen
just
some
got
sweet
one.
Builds.
Yeah.
Jealous.
Yeah.
For now.
Goals.
For now. That's I'll say that's how we'll wrap it up. Do you guys think we should get one? Do you think what is, in your opinion, do you think the Turbo R is better bang for your buck than compared to the Pro R? Because Turbo R is significantly cheaper. You could be getting it for almost the same price as probably a Turbo S. It might be a couple grand more. Not exactly sure. Hit up Bob's Cycle, Houston, Ohio. Yeah, so it's, I don't know. Do I know? I actually do know.
Yeah.
You guys already know. You guys get the hints.
Yeah.
We know what we want.
Yep.
We want to feel this life.
Yes, we do.
There is no hiding this.
Nope. The ultimate.
It's gonna be, good times coming.
But, let's just break the barrier, dude. They know we're going to get one. They know it. They know the hints.
Do they know the hint? Have we just been pushing it too hard?
We've been pushing it too hard.
Are we going to drive one? Do we have one coming?
I say what we do with this car is really just
give it to the test, man.
Leave it stock and push it to the test. Are we going to race it? Probably not, because it's a $40,000 car. I don't really want to deal with that right now.
Nope. Ultimate trail rig? We're gonna find out. I
just say, trail rig. All this overall. What is this? How is this car? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody, because the majority of people out there, they're not racing. They're just out there having a good time, and it's like we get this car, we drive it around, and we let you guys know.
Yeah.
Like,
What is it good at? Where does it lack?
This is an awesome car to pick up.
It's gonna be exciting.
I mean? It'll take care of everybody's needs. You know, how reliable is it? How hard is it to work on? How much is it to maintain?
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited.
I mean, it'll be a great comparison, in my opinion, to the Turbo S, because my Turbo S is pretty built. Your Turbo is pretty built. We still got a whole build for him that's coming. So it's like we'll pretty much have every Polaris model there is.
That is cool, dude. What? Like, RS1, Pro XP, Turbo S, XP Turbo, and maybe something else.
Yeah. And then maybe
Pro R.
And a Pro R.
So, like, tuned. I mean, when you compare it, RS1 is like an XP 1000 platform, basically. Yeah. It is a single seat edition, but it's very similar. It's super similar. Then an XP Turbo, older Turbo edition. Turbo S, the changing of toughness and what was going on. Yeah. And then the second most modern thing now, the Pro XP platform at 64 inches. I mean, this is going to be quite the breakdown.
That it is, man.
I mean, Polaris.
We're ready.
How many models do we got to sell for you?
Yeah, how many exactly?
Please.
Come on.
Send me a sweater.
Oh, that's funny.
All right.
Well, that wraps it up.
That wraps it up, man.
That was a good time, boys. I like it.
Man.
That was awesome.
Yep.
Pro R.
Come in on it.
Come in on it.
Pro R.
Yeah.
Woo. All right, guys. I'm not sure if this video is actually coming out afterwards, but I doubt it. Next episode will be the hot ones. So we'll be eating 10 hot wings with 10 different questions. It is going to be, it's questions that you guys sent us.
Yeah.
So we will be answering them live on air. And, yeah, it's going to be insane, guys. Really stay tuned for that one. I think it's going to be very interesting. We're actually going to be shooting that podcast right after this.
Yep, that's what's for dinner.
I'm so hungry, too.
Yeah. Yes. I'm just going to let you guys know I just do not good. I'm not good with hot stuff. I bought milk and ice cream bars before I got here.
All right. That's a wrap, guys. Thank you for watching. If you want some dirt merch, link is below.
Yeah.
If you want some dirt merch like this right here, different than Teespring, Dirt Dudes UTV at Gmail. Link is also for that below. You can message us directly and we'll send you the merch. If you want to help support this crazy journey that we're on, our Patreon link is below. You have to donate $100 a month. No, you can donate $5 a month. Anything helps, but the most important thing is that you're watching this channel, and we appreciate every one of you for doing that. So, we'll see you in the next one.
Later.
Yeah!